Hey y'all, my name's Josh Massey.
And I'm Kyle Henry.
This is our testimony of what God did when we were in Nicaragua. A few years back, my son asked me if we could go on mission together. And we went to the GO meeting, the interest conference at the end of the year, and we looked at all the trips that were available, and something stuck out about this trip to Nicaragua with Chosen Children. So now this is actually my third year going, and it was a great experience and definitely something that the Lord's put together for us.
So for us, my son and I went with my middle son, Preston Murray, and he really didn't give us much opportunity to say no about him going. So honestly, for me initially, this trip was really more about Preston Murray getting to go out of the country on mission and doing something for just he and I together.
And as I think as a leader, this is the first time I've led a mission trip, and it was a very unique experience. And I love the fact that this trip is perfect for anybody that's been in missions and been active in going for a number of years, but also sometimes somebody this is their first experience really getting out and doing that. So knowing we would have some young people on the trip, I wanted to make sure that we were as equipped as possible, specifically when you think about being able to make connections to the gospel. So we talked a lot about preparing our testimonies, being ready to share those on the fly, and trusting that God was going to put us in front of the right people to connect our personal testimony to what they were dealing with in their lives. And God was very faithful in that as we were on the trip, for sure.
He was, for sure. In a lot of ways that I don't know that I would have expected that. But you take that same group and you send us down any street in Spartanburg County, and there's nobody there standing at the gate waiting on us when we get off the bus.
That's exactly right.
Which we had that experience. They were just way more receptive, and I think because of the thoughtfulness that you had in preparing our group made it much easier for us to be able to share our personal testimonies and weave those into all the conversations. It was just amazing how God completely had this thing planned out from back that initial GO meeting. God knew exactly the people that he was preparing to be in those exact situations.
We talked a number of times throughout the trip, and especially our family time each night. We talked about connecting the dots, and if we can take the little things that are happening in life and be able to turn that to a gospel conversation, that's something that God is going to use, that faithfulness and that willingness to be bold. But in that, the challenge doesn't just stay in Nicaragua. The challenge comes home with us too. So, how can we get those people that were on that trip to be able to go into the school, or be able to go into a sports field, or be able to go into the workplace, to be able to, have something random come up. You're talking about cars with friends, or you're talking about, gardening, or whatever it is that God puts in front of you. How do you connect that back to the gospel? And God gave us so many opportunities on that trip.
Well, and I think too, those opportunities are around us here in Spartanburg, right? I think the difference that it probably makes is the intentionality.
Sure.
We were there. We had in our mind we were there to do a specific thing in a specific day. So I think that's just a way for us to encourage ourselves mentally that when we wake up every day, that if we're intentional enough about seeing that person that's standing there that's hungry for the gospel, they may not know what they're hungry for, but they're searching for something.
Sure.
So I think if we're intentional enough to make ourselves vulnerable enough to do that, and then we're willing to let our body and our minds and our mouths follow our heart, I just can only imagine the impact that we can make here in Spartanburg if we would just take that approach day in and day out.